Week 3 of college football is now in the books, which means it's time for a new episode of Scouting Report. Man, I love that show. Hopefully y'all do too. But before that, what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, give me a thumbs up. It's much appreciated, much obliged, and go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. I got some big news. In 2 weeks, I'm going to be doing another mock draft. And this mock draft, y'all love mock drafts. I love mock drafts. But what's different about this mock draft, it's going to be a 7-round mock draft. It's going to be wild. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be so crazy. It may get me to 1,000 subs. Maybe. But without further ado, Week 3 of college football was a weird week because it was the first time in a while no ranked opponents faced one another. But there were still plenty of good prospect matchups. And we're going to start with the offense, and we're going to start with the quarterback. Because North Texas's Mason Fine, he had a tough matchup against Cal's secondary. Fine went 21 of 40 for 210 yards and 2 touchdowns with an interception. Now, what was key in this matchup is Cal managed to basically neutralize Rico Bussey Jr., basically finds top target and another hopeful prospect. He went for 1 reception for -6 yards. I mean, the safeties here in this game, Ashton Davis and Jalen Hawkins, they looked very good. But despite the loss and Bussey basically being shut down, Fine kept his team in the game, and this shouldn't hurt his stock too much. Stanford's KJ Costello had a so-so showing against Central Florida, but the rest of the quarterback prospects looked pretty good, especially the fast rising Joe Burrow. Through 3 games, Burrow is 75 of 90, which is ridiculous for over 1,100 yards. He has 11 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. But I mean, what was key in this last game is his average depth of target was over 12 yards, which is ludicrous. He's going to be a very good prospect, and like I said, he is very, very fast rising, and he should be looked at as a potential first-round pick. With that being said, Tua and Herbert remain at the top of my rankings, but I have Burrow now at 3. Fromm and Costello are 4 and 5. Eason coming in at 6. Nate Stanley making one little bit of a jump over Fine because Fine had the rough game. And Jordan Love also jumps. Now I put Jalen Hurts here at 10 because he's looked really good. Granted, he hasn't faced the best competition yet, but he has looked exceptionally good, and he could be a name fast rising. Mississippi State's Kylan Hill continues to elevate his stock even despite the loss against Kansas. But Alabama's Najee Harris finally showed that he could be an impact in the passing game. He had 5 receptions for 87 yards and 2 touchdowns. I still think he is a day 3 prospect, but things have gotten a little bit interesting for Harris. Oklahoma State's Chuba Hubbard has been on a tear. Through 3 games, he has 66 carries for 521 yards, 7 touchdowns, and he's almost at 8 yards per carry. I mean, he's yet to have a reception this year, but he had 22 receptions in 2018, so we know he can be a threat in the pass game. Now, he's only a redshirt sophomore, but the shelf life on running backs is pretty short in the NFL. So if he can enter that day 2 to early day 3 territory, I expect him to declare early. As far as receivers, we already talked about Rico Bussey Jr.'s struggles, but Texas A&M's Kendrick Rogers, he had a decent day, but it was against Lamar. And I mean, basically him and the rest of the Aggie receiving core, they've done all of nothing to help Kellen Mond. I mean, just looking at Rogers' first 2 games, he was not impressive at all. And against Lamar, those stats, they aren't impressive either. I don't expect Rogers. He might go a little early. He might, honestly, he's a day 3 only. He's a day 3 only, and he's only going to get drafted based on his potential talent. 2 guys who looked really good was Minnesota's Tyler Johnson and Central Florida's Gabriel Davis. Johnson, he's recently been outshined by Rashad Bateman, but Johnson came in clutch with 3 touchdowns as well as the go-ahead touchdown to beat Georgia Southern. He had, 140 yards. His long was 73. He looked like every bit of the first-round prospect we think he is. Meanwhile, Davis may have just put himself on the radar of every NFL front office after how he played against potential first-round pick Paulson Adebo. It was just impressive, and there may be another potential stud in this loaded receiving class. I know the numbers may not look flashy, but he did it against an elite talent. As far as tight ends, the only tight end to go over 100 yards was Washington's Hunter Bryant, and he may very well be the third tight end off the board when it's all said and done. As far as offensive tackles, I want to address Stanford's Walker Little. He's out for the rest of the year with a leg injury, and that sucks, so we don't know if he'll declare for this year, but a lot of people view him as among the top tackle prospects in this draft, and if you're a fan of the channel, then you know how I feel about Walker Little. I'm not a fan, or at least I'm not as high as people are on Walker Little. I still think he's a second round prospect, so I still think he's going to be a very highly touted prospect, but I don't think he's among the top tackle prospects. As a matter of fact, I have him translated as a guard. I mean, he's 6'7", so he's a little tall to be a guard, but I don't think he will be good on the outside. He's got good lateral movement. I just don't think he's athletic enough to play. He has a tough time holding his blocks, and he's still very raw. I have him as currently my second rated guard for 2020, but honestly, I think he could benefit from coming back for his senior season, and he could be a top 10 pick. He could be a tackle prospect if he refines that technique, but it's just what I think, so we're gonna have to wait and see. As far as the rest of the tackle class, outside of Andrew Thomas from Georgia and Iowa's Tristan Wirfs, there's really no elite prospects in this tackle class. I've gone through my rankings multiple times. I find myself reshuffling the 3 to 10 spots so much, but there's been a guy this season's been inching higher and higher and higher up my list. Houston's Josh Jones has been incredible this season. He's posted grades of 80 or higher for Pro Football Focus as a run and pass blocker every game this season, with 2 of those games being against ranked Power 5 opponents. Now, I took a long look at his prior performances, and I don't know why no one's really talking about this guy. He's basically been a starter at left tackle since his freshman season, and he's played in at least 10 games or more each season. He's never had a season where he's finished with under an 80 grade as a run or a pass blocker for Pro Football Focus. This guy, he is the real deal. He should be a first to second round pick come April. My boy's a diamond in the rough.
Shine bright like a diamond.
Huh? It's a Minecraft joke, because I play Minecraft. Let's talk about defense. So, as far as the edge rushers, Curtis Weaver, he just proves to be Mr. Consistent. Him and Chase Young, they've been really the most consistent pass rushers this season. Just this week, Young had 2 sacks, and Weaver had 4. Michigan State's Kenny Willix, in a losing effort, he was a force of nature. He's basically, for me, solidified his status as a day 2 pick with another multi-pressure game. And he was, again, phenomenal as a run defender. We had no questions about him as a run defender. We want to see if he can continue to get more pressure and kind of basically be a threat in the pass game, and he has shown that. But let's talk about the defensive interior, because there's been a lot of change for me as far as the defensive interior. Florida State's Marvin Wilson was a guy that I questioned at the beginning of the year, saying, yeah, basically he's a dominant force, but I didn't think he was enough to make, or he was doing enough to elevate his team and actually make an impact, and I kind of want to eat my words on that. The man has been a monster, at least through the first 3 games of this year. I mean, just this game against Virginia, he recorded 7 total pressures. And I mean, he has just been a monster, and I think above and beyond, he is hands down the best defensive interior prospect in this draft. Right after Wilson, I have Derrick Brown and Javon Kinlaw, who are basically kind of vying, where Derrick Brown, I don't think he's much of a pass rusher. Javon Kinlaw, he's still raw. He's still working on his technique. He looked really good against Alabama, though, having a couple of pressures and a sack. And then I have Metabuke, who's currently hurt, Mustafa Johnson, who's just had a banging beginning of the year, and Levi Onwuzurike out of Washington, who I want to see more playing time out of. I kind of question why he's not on the field more. Speaking of Auburn, let's talk about Marlon Davidson, who was a complete monster against Kent State. In this game, we saw Derrick Brown and Nick Coe leave the game in the first quarter with injuries. I don't think they were anything severe, but Davidson was just wreaking havoc. 2.5 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks. He had 6 tackles. He's probably the most underrated member of this fearsome defensive line. I talked about him last week, and this is a guy that is quickly elevating his day 2 status. Isaiah Simmons from Clemson has just been an absolute beast this year. I think he's hands down the best linebacker in this class. He had 11 total tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss, and 2 sacks. And what I love best is because he kind of played safety last year, he has exclusively played linebacker this season. And he, like I said, he might even be a top 15 pick when this is all said and done. And while we're talking about linebackers, Jordan Brooks for Texas Tech, despite the loss, put on a banger of a game. He had 13 tackles, and 3 of those tackles for loss. Still think he's a day 3 prospect, but another interesting name in this very interesting linebacker class. When it comes to secondary, I want to talk about 2 very interesting prospects, Paulson Adebo and Darnay Holmes, because they both had very interesting matchups this week, with Darnay Holmes playing his first game of the year, coming off injury against CeeDee Lamb from Oklahoma. And no, that is not CeeDee Lamb in the picture, that is A.D. Miller. But he did pretty well for himself against CeeDee Lamb. He wasn't targeted once. Lamb did have a catch that actually went for like a 40-yard touchdown, but he was lined up in the slot and he got over a linebacker and the safety. So Holmes wasn't even involved in that matchup. Now, Paulson Adebo, I talked about him earlier where he had his struggles against Davis. I don't think that will hurt his stock as long as he plays lights out the rest of the year, as long as he plays the way we've seen in those first 2 games. But this is big for Holmes, who we know this man's going to have a 4.3 40, but if he can prove in Pac-12 play that he can shut down these guys, because he was kind of a roller coaster last season in the Pac-12. He got destroyed by Deion Mitchell in that Oregon game. So Holmes could really help his stock. I think he's currently maybe a round 3 pick, kind of flirting with round 2. But this is a very, I say it every week, this is a very good corner class. This is a very good secondary class. This is a good class in general. That's it for the video. I'm very excited. Next week starts conference play, so we're about to get really into the nitty gritty of college football. But until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.